All right. Now, we've got a fraction divided by a fraction, so we can simplify further. So let's multiply by the reciprocal. Oops, sorry. We're multiplying by the reciprocal. All right, so that cancels out, and we cancel out the cube here. So that leaves in the numerator just the sine theta, 3 subtract 4 sine squared theta. And in the denominator, that leaves us with cos theta multiplied by 4 cos squared theta subtract 3. All right, so now we've got to the point where we can substitute in for our sines and our coses. All right, so if we look back to the original, I know we've done a fair bit of work, but if we were going to substitute in here, we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 substitutions, as well as these cubes that we had to do. So we have simplified a lot of work to get there. So hopefully it wasn't a waste of time. So from here, substituting in for sine theta. So sine theta is z subtract z to the power of -1 over 2i times pi 3 subtract 4. Substituting in for sine squared theta, that will be sine theta is z subtract z to the power of -1 over 2i, so we're going to be squaring that. So we have to do a square, but that's going to be easier than a cube. All right, so substituting for cos theta, plus z to the power of 1, -1, over 2, and again squaring this time our expression for cos theta, we're squaring it, subtract 3. Now hopefully all of this can be expanded and simplified to look like that, and if it doesn't, I'm going to cry. All right, so 3 times this, so we're going to have 3z subtract 3z to the power of -1 over 2i, subtracting 4 times, or this times all of this. All right, so that's going to be 4 times z subtract z to the power of -1 over 2i. So we've got that times the 4. Now we need to times by this squared. So this squared is going to be z squared subtract 2z z to the power of -1 plus z to the power of -2 all over 4i squared. So 4i squared is -1, so that's going to be over -4. All right, so a lot of algebra there in that one line, and it's going to be similar down here. All right, so the 4 times that, 4 times z plus z to the power of -1 over 2. Now times it by this squared, so similar to what we did above, so z squared plus 2 plus z to the power of -2 all over 4. So we've done the multiplication of the factor outside the bracket by the first term inside, and now we have to multiply this by the -3. All right, so let's simplify this, all of this hopefully to this. Always keep looking back at what you're trying to do. Okay, so first of all, let's cancel out those 4's. We can cancel out that 4 and that 4, and now that's negative and that's negative, so we cancel out the negative and make that plus. So that's like -4 divided by -4, which is +1. Okay, so from here we can simplify further. We can simplify these terms. Z times z to the power of -1. That's like z to the power of 1 times z to the power of -1. So that's going to be z to the power of 0, which is 1. All right, so here we can simplify this middle term just to be 2 times 1 and -2 times 1. So let's do that first. Let's just make this a bit neater. So 3z, subtract 3z to -1 over 2i plus z, subtract z to the power of -1 over 2i times by z squared. Remember, this here is going to become just the subtraction of 2 plus, that's 2 plus z to the power of -2. And that was all over 1. Okay, because that cancelled out. Now that's all over this denominator here, which is z plus z to the power of -1 over 2 times by z squared. This is just going to simplify just to be 2 plus z to the power of -2, subtracting 3z plus 3z to the power of -1 all over 2. Alright, so we're still subtracting this fraction. That's why that remained positive, because even though it's -3 out here, we're still subtracting this fraction, which means we're subtracting 3z over 2. So we're subtracting 3z over 2, and we're subtracting 3z to the power of -1 over 2. Alright, from here, we want to think about simplifying, so hopefully I can do that in a couple of lines. What do we want to do? Alright, we're going to have to do this multiplication and this multiplication here. That's like a fraction over 1. So let's do these multiplications. Once we've done these multiplications, we can then do the addition and we can do the subtraction. Alright, so from here, this stays the same. We can't do this anything with this at the moment until we've done the multiplication here, so then we can think about adding. Right, so multiply the numerators. This is going to be a little bit annoying, so the first term needs to multiply by all of this expression, and then we need to subtract the second term, which is multiplied by all of this. So z times z squared gives us z cubed, z times -2 gives us -2z, z times this one. Alright, so therefore that's going to be plus, now z to the power of 1 times z to the power of -2. Okay, 1 plus -2 is -1, so that's going to simplify to z to the power of -1. And then we are subtracting z to the power of -1 times z to the power of 2. Alright, so -1 plus 2 will give us z to the power of 1. Subtraction and subtraction, so this is going to be the addition of 2z to the power of -1. Subtraction and addition, so it's going to be subtraction of z to the power of -3. Having fun yet? All over that times that 2i. So see, we can now do this addition, and hopefully when we do that addition we can cancel some of these terms. Alright, so we're going to do the same down here. Alright, z times z squared is z cubed, z times 2 is plus 2z, z times z to the power of -1, so that's like z to the power of 1, times z to the power of -2, so it's going to be plus z to the power of -1. Okay, the next term, so plus z to the power of 1, plus 2z to the power of -1, plus z to the power of -3. Okay, so that's all over 2, and once again we've got the subtraction of 3z plus 3z to the power of -1 over 2. Alright, so from here we can now do this addition, and hopefully we can then end up with this. Alright, so we can do this addition, so it's going to be all of this, all the numerator added together. So 3z, subtract that, plus all of this. Alright, so let's do it the long way. 3z minus 3z to the power of -1 plus z cubed minus 2z plus z to the power of that's all over 2i. And all of that's over that, subtract this. So we need to be careful here. It's like a bracket there. We're subtracting that numerator. We're subtracting all of it. So z cubed plus 2z plus z to the power of negative 1 so we are subtracting the 3z and we're subtracting the 3z to the power of negative 1. Now all of that is just over 2. You can see that, you're a genius. Okay, so let's hopefully start cancelling. What do we got? Let's start with the z's. We've got 3z, subtract 2z, subtracting 1z. So 3z, subtract 2z, subtract 1z, or z to the power of 1 is just 1z. So that cancels out. And then we've got our negative 1, subtraction of 3z to the power of negative 1, plus one of them, plus another 2 of them. Excellent. That all cancels out. And then you've got z to the power of 3, subtract z to the power of negative 3. Woohoo! Okay, all over 2i. Now I'm hoping this then cancels out to be 2, because it technically, oh no, sorry, that's not right. Hopefully it simplifies to this times something like that. Sorry, I'm getting too far ahead of myself. All right, so let's start with z to the power of 3. Okay, so z to the power of 3, we can't cancel that out, which is good because we want that. Likewise, z to the power of negative 3, that's not going to cancel out, which is good because we want that. All right, so hopefully these z's cancel out. 2z plus z is 3z, subtract 3z. All right, next one, z to the power of negative 1 plus 2 of them, so we've got 3 of them, and then we're subtracting 3 of them. All right, good. That's leaving us with what we want. Okay, so these 2's will cancel out, and we're going to have what we wanted. So from there, without covering that up, you can see that we're going to end up with z to the power of 3, subtract z to the power of negative 3, all over 2i, oh, those equal signs, all over z to the power of 3, plus z to the power of negative 3, all over 2. All right, so you've got a fraction divided by a fraction. So therefore, let's do z to the power of 3, subtract z to the power of negative 3, over 2i, multiplied by the reciprocal, z to the power of 3, plus z to the power of negative 3. Cancel that out. We're left with z to the power of 3, subtract z to the power of negative 3, over z to the power of 3 plus z to the power of negative 3, all multiplied by I. That, thankfully, equals that. So we can say it's equal to the left-hand side. No need for QED, but if you want to, do it.